All right, happy holidays, town folk. Once again, welcome to the weekly wrap. We've made it through another week to another glorious Friday, and it's been a little bit slow as far as the news coming out ever since the Game Awards. But there's always little bits and pieces of things that get past everybody. So tonight I'm just gonna go through a few things. But before I start, I just want to go ahead and put this out there, and I'll still mention it at the end of the podcast. Is that um, this will be my last podcast until I want to say more or less. I don't plan to. There's not going to be a roundtable or a weekly wrap next week, mainly because of the holidays. So it's going to be Christmas Eve and then Christmas, and I need to utilize that time for myself as well as my family. And as far as New Year's Eve goes, um, well, New Year's Eve is Thursday, so I may do a roundtable. That not next week, but the week after. I want to say the 30th. I'm gonna probably do a roundtable, but for next week, as far as goes for Wednesday and Friday, it's going to be it's just it's going to be a week off. Hey, what's going on, Emmanuel? So right now I'm trying to see if there's any of my cohorts who are going to jump in. So, anyways, I hope everybody has enjoyed their week and most importantly enjoyed their gaming. I know that there's one group that really hasn't been enjoying themselves very much. Well, as not really gamers, but I want to say developers, and that has to be our buddies at CD Project Red. They have been just they've been making news for all the wrong reasons. This I guess you say these past few weeks, and I mean it sucks for them. I'm sorry to hear about it, but oh shoot, wasn't supposed to do that. So, but now as I was saying, they've been making news for the wrong reasons, and it I mean it's horrible. I mean it's a shame to see this happen to them. And I will and my cohort in crime, Emmanuel, who I believe is on his way. I definitely agree with him, and I'm eye to eye with him on this. Whereas they did this, to themselves. So I mean, it sucks that they're getting, I guess you say they're getting their just desserts this way because I mean, dude, you can really tell and see that they busted their asses to make sure that this game was out. But there's things that they did, whereas I want to say that it's not so much as the people at the bottom. In other words, the actual developers themselves. It's more the thing of with their marketing team, their the studio heads, and most importantly, the investors. Because I saw in another posting where somebody was stating that when CD I guess when the heads for CD Project Red was like apologizing publicly about this, they were stating trying to I guess trying to like cut themselves loose from any other entity to state that, oh, we did this us ourselves, and this is all us. But in all honesty, no, that's not the case. Because I can tell you right now that I honestly believe that that they were pushed. They were pushed by the investors. Oh, hold on a second here. Okay, sorry about that. I thought I was having issues. Oh, what's going on, ODT?
Yo, what up? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine, man. Dude, I am sorry about that about shadow dropping that link that link on you.
No,
But
it's fine. No, it's fine. You're lucky. I was actually kind of, just scoping around my educational form on YouTube, and then I saw you were streaming. I was like, oh, I might as well check my phone. But how you doing this week? Yeah, everybody kind of staying safe?
Yeah, at least I know I am.
Oh, good. Everybody staying healthy?
In all honesty, staying warm.
Yeah, warm is definitely actually more important. But gotta have to make sure you got liquids. Stay hydrated. Hydration is key.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, like I said, I'm good to go. How about yourself, man? You been doing all right?
I got an empty fridge. I mean, I got my body back. That was the entire concept of this wonderful year's project. But, I got to give a really quick shout out to all the women and all the, wonderful fans that have been helping me through this rough year. This is not very easy to go through. So I appreciate that. But, I'm 165 pounds. I legitly look 10 years younger again. I am actually quite enjoying this year. The fact that I don't actually have my new console yet kind of put salt and icing on my own cake. But, my cake I had like legitimately 3 days ago. So, and my birthday, that's when my birthday was. So I've been relaxing all week.
Oh, shoot, that is right. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Dude, happy belated birthday, man.
Thank you. I had fun. I had a nice dinner with my brother and his fiance. So I had too much fun in their house. They cooked me a humongous, nice sirloin steak. It was delicious. But I think the comedy out of it was watching all those cats legitimately treat his underground basement like it was Egyptian, airway. I swear to God, that shit was funny. You see the cat with a little red, jacket that looks like a cat that turned into Superman, and then as their watering hole fills up with 3 cats in a line, like, this is just too perfect. And then you got Call of Duty breaking everybody's systems. You got the Cyberpunk 2077 hack finally appeared on actual national television.
Yeah, and that's it, and it's funny because you popped in, because that is actually my first topic I'm talking about right now, is where I was like, yeah, they're making news, but they're making it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, all the wrong reasons. But then I'm like, well, it's kind of that's that time of year. It's Christmas time. We gotta find cheer and humor in everything that we do nowadays, because everything is just going to hell. Yeah. I lost my keys too, so I actually can't step outside my tower, so I'm stuck up here. So,
jeez.
And my fridge is empty. I have no water. I have no food. It's fun, But then just trying to actually meditate your body back to 165 every morning is kind of too fun and entertaining in and of itself. But I'm happy everybody kind of making money. That's a good idea. That was kind of the idea. But then you got all the scalpers kind of ripping everybody off, which is kind of the other, humor in the actual holiday season.
Yep, and of course, well, we'll get into that. But for right now, the Cyberpunk thing is that it's funny you bringing that up, because I read somewhere where supposedly this just in refunding alone, I think they lost out.
You're fucked. I'm gonna go quite say that nicely to Sony. You're screwed, because you shouldn't have put that on your platform if you couldn't have run it. I'm just saying, you're gonna get sued that way.
Man, I mean, dude, but like I said, I mean, from what it sounded like, it's close to $1 billion in refunds.
I heard I saw 20 million. 20 million was lost in 2 hours. They canceled all the 20 million pre-orders by bots, and that's technically how everybody was making money at first. Is everybody hooked it up to a bot account? Everybody was automatically pressing that pre-order PS5s.
Oh no, not the pre-orders, not the pre-orders. No, not the pre-orders. I mean, I'm talking about Cyberpunk.
Well, the Cyberpunk 2077 refunds, or the actual pre-orders itself.
No, the refunds for Cyberpunk. Yeah. The first topic tonight is Cyberpunk right now. We're getting to that about the pre-order stuff and the bots. We're getting to that, but we're starting off with Cyberpunk right now. And
to be fair, I have been checking up on my fans around this district, and I have a couple bots that work at different stores, and they all say that the game, they love it no matter what they play it on. They could be playing on their PCs or their Xbox. And they say it's an awesome game. But this is kind of why we go into the concept of there's different games for different platforms. Certain platforms can run certain things just fine, whereas others have to be dumbed down, dumbed up. You get the idea. But then there's other platforms that actually just can't run the iOS of the game at all. That's why it's exclusive to that exclusive company that it goes to.
Yeah, right. Be honest with you, this whole situation really sounds like it seems very similar to a Bethesda type situation, where they'll put out Skyrim. It's hitting on all cylinders, and then just within that the first 2 or 3 days, bugs are found. Patch sent.
Yeah. Well, and I get a lot. I've gotten a lot of friends asking me, "Do you have the new Xbox set? Do you have the new Xbox set?" I'm like, "No, I don't." But this is kind of one of the bigger reasons why I choose not to buy new systems right when they launch, because then when you actually let the holiday system go backwards and you let it go forwards, you allow all the kinks and glitches to be fixed before you buy it in January or February. But considering it keeps getting sold out, I say it's doing quite well.
Yep. So, but yeah, like I said, I mean, the thing is, overall, it sucks for that team, and the actual workers, the actual coders and the animators and everything, and the mocap guys. It sucks.
Yeah, and anybody that has to work under pressure in this wonderful pandemic, my hats is off to them, because they have to do everything on the programming scale from their own homes now, I heard. So that's going to be a challenge in the future endeavors if this situation keeps going forward for the world.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, I mean, like I said, it sucks. But if there's anybody to really lay this blame on, is the studio heads, as along with their marketing team, because their marketing team was deliberately showing off and pushing the PC version. They weren't showing the something running on any of the consoles that this game is.
Well, originally we were trying to tell everybody Cyberpunk 27 should only run on PC. Don't try to go in on lower hardware, because it's going to make everything crash. It's going to make everything basically destroyed, because it doesn't have the power bandwidth to actually run it. In terms of Sony and Nintendo at the moment, it was only a PC only concept at first, and then they're like, "No, bring it to Xbox." We're like, "All right, we need a new console then." And then you get Series X and you get Series S, and they all run it, but then everybody just sells out immediately, whether it be at Best Buy or Walmart. And then, of course, Walmart gets hacked.
Yeah, what's going on, Nelson?
Good evening, all you wonderful ladies and gentlemen in the chat.
Yeah.
Good evening to you.
Enjoying.
He needs that water, is what he needs.
Yes, sir. Oh, and just letting you guys know, today is Mr. Techstorm's birthday. So right now he's enjoying himself, being what does the kids say today? Being lit, right? So
okay.
Okay, shoot. I gotta wish him a happy birthday then.
Yes.
So, but now, like I said, we me and ODT, we just starting off with the situation with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk. So, but overall, man, I mean, this situation, like I said, it's like this is where all right, this is my view as to as to where all the blame lies, because I'm not cutting them any slack whatsoever for this, because this has tarnished whatever reputation you could level reputation they had. It's tarnished it, but just like with everything, it can be repaired over time.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's the thing that needs to be understood. And the reason I bring that up is because this sounds like a situation where they were being pressured by their investors. You was with me. You was with me when I was saying this, Nelson,
Yes.
in a previous show, and I'm still sticking to that, because everybody's quick to always look at the top layer of the situation, but never the underlayer. There's people that are never prone to pry the curtain back and see the man pulling the dials and pulling the chain and stuff, and just working stuff behind the scenes.
Right.
And when you're dealing with a bigger studio, a bigger company that's more or less their own publisher, they have investors. And they were already having problems with these investors to begin with. So I'm keeping to my guns on this. That I feel that what happened was the studio heads were pressured by the investors, because one, this endeavor took a lot more longer than what they I guess you say they were expecting. Because when Cyberpunk was first brought out and first shown and talked about, we were just coming off the 360. We were just crossing over into last gen with the Xbox One and the PS4. All right, so I don't think the game was initially thought out to be at the scope and magnitude that I guess you say within the past year or so, CD Projekt Red has been pushing it up to be, where it's like so detailed and so deep and all this other stuff like that. I don't think that was what it originally was going to be. So I feel that the team probably fell victim to what we in the development game call feature creep. And that as time went on, they started adding in features. And when the way feature creep hurts you is you'll add in something, but it'll mess around and it'll break something else. Then you have to fix that, and that'll break something else. So then you fix those things, add in another feature, that starts breaking. And therefore, for everything that keeps breaking, the game starts taking longer and longer to develop. More to the point to where all of a sudden now there's talks of a PS5. Now there's talks of RDNA 2.0, RDNA 2.0 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So as Manuel was saying, so like I said, it's just that they just kept, that's where I feel the developers were guilty at, was they kept, trying to push this bar. And the thing is like,
well, they just kind of wanted to keep making it better and better if they could. But then, too much of a good thing eventually breaks a good thing. So that's not a very good thing to do. Simplest is key, basically. Keep it simple.
See, another good example would be everybody's favorite whipping boy, which is Star Citizen.
Oh God.
Yeah, and as I said before about it, is like I like the scope and the depth of what they're trying to do, but what I hate about it, which CD Projekt Red just did with Cyberpunk, was they yanked away stuff. It's like they promised something and then they yanked it away because they realized that oh crap, we got the feature creep going on. It's breaking stuff. Instead of just taking the time to actually work with it. So I believe that's where the devs went, are guilty of, and that wound up dragging development out to where investors were starting to get very anxious. and then you have the delays after you have the delay after delay. It's like okay, is this game ever going to come out? Are we ever going to get our money? I wouldn't be surprised if they lost investors. So therefore, they started losing money because now they have to start cutting into their own cake. They have to like start digging in their own coffers.
I
And there's
no, I agree with you. But like the thing is like how much of a good thing do you give the future, investors without actually having to take it away because it doesn't benefit your main consumer, which would be your Xbox and your PC. But as we were saying, a couple months ago, the only thing that was really making it work at first is your PC platform. They couldn't actually get all the features to stop breaking everything in order to actually make it work complete on the other consoles. The most they could do is make it, available for your Series X and S users, and that was it. Because then the PlayStation was still bottlenecked, and that's why it was going to break if you put it on that platform. And that's exactly what it did. And now they want refunds, but then they're like, well, if you ask for a refund, we'll just automatically cancel your access to your game on PSN and then give you your money back. But then people still want their game even though they ask for a refund.
Yeah. So like I said, this to me, I mean, I know people don't exactly agree with me, but this is very much on the same lines of like, when, I guess you say when Skyrim came out and it had a ton of bugs, but I guess you say they were not as bad and prevalent as they were with what I'm seeing with Cyberpunk running on the base VCR Xbox One and Xbox One S.
Yeah, no,
and
God, that must have so many glitches that it's not even funny.
yeah, and the base PS4. So this, so I mean, like I said, it's a dead horse we can keep beating on, but the thing about it is that it happened. It hurt their pride and their tarnished their reputation. But at the same time, I think where I want to put the blame of the full blame on it is that when they made that delay over a month ago, they should have made the consideration of like, okay, we're really pushing it. This pandemic isn't helping us. We're having to do the thing that we never wanted to do, that we always keep making people think that we are, we don't do, and that's crunching. Why don't we just go ahead and just bite the bullet? Let the trolls come out, let them play, let them sling their mud and everything, and just delay this thing till spring. That's what I felt should have happened. That's the decision I felt should have been made, regardless of the investors. But that's the big issue, because when you're dealing with a business of being in a business that big, it's kind of hard to say F the investors.
Yeah.
Because once they got their hooks in, it's kind of hard.
You both need each other. It's kind of a symbiotic relationship. You give me investment, I give you game. I give you game, you give me money. That's how that works.
Yeah, and so it was probably hard to do, and it was probably even harder to sell because it was already taking too long for these investors to get any sort of return. And as I said before, as I ranted before in the previous podcast over this, is investors don't give a shit about your scope and your vision. They don't care. That's not what they're there for. They're there to make money. They're there for their benefit. That's all that matters. You might have one or two that might care a bit, but at the end of the day, it's about making money. And if you're not returning me, not the exact amount I put in, not double, but triple or more, you got to give me triple or more. That's what they expect. If you're not delivering that, you are in their eyes a failure, and therefore they have the grounds to pull stakes and move out. and like I said, trying to delay the game was probably one of the most hardest sales they can make. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised that this month delay that they recently did before the launch. I wouldn't be surprised that was probably a hard negotiation with investors to try to get them to understand. Look, we need more time with this. Well, look, we already been on this long enough. We can't give you no more money. Because remember, some news articles are saying that CD Projekt Red was losing money with they're starting to lose money from the development of how long Cyberpunk took. And if you got investors who are threatening to break camp and move out,
no, that causes a lot of stress under the development team. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah, so it's the thing about it is, as much as everybody is I guess you said, like, going, teeing off on CD Projekt Red, is that the only thing I'm saying is that don't let them slide by, don't let it get away with it, but at the same time, don't be complete assholes about it. Is what I'm saying. Try, it's just like everything. It's just the same as like if something happened to you. You want everybody to give you that benefit of the doubt. You want everybody to see everything from both sides of the fence. And that's the only thing I'm getting at. I'm not saying let's celebrate them. I'm not saying let's let them slide. Hell no. Because I think that's one of the biggest issues that we're having is letting too many developers slide. Because I'm getting kind of tired of every game that comes out, it's launching in a half-cooked state, to where the moment you install it, the Joker already needs about 1 or 2 patches. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'd kindly argue that everything is going to need 1 or 2 more patches if it's going to ask Xbox Live to automatically update its software.
Yeah. So and it's funny you say that, because it's practically became the norm. We're now adapted. We're now adapted to it. We're used to it. The moment that we get our brand new game, we put it in. You get that.
Let's wait another 10, 15 minutes. Let it update.
Yeah. So we're already there, but but at the same time, it sucks. So, in the case, but bring this, my thoughts to a close is that they'll recover. It's going to be a hard recovery, but at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and shamelessly say this. When Phil approached them with the bag, they should have took the damn bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I was even saying about the Genshin Impact developers and stuff like that, whereas they're beating their chest because they're so proud and everything. It's like, you can sit there beating your chest as much as you damn want, but right now we're in a situation where nobody is exactly faring that well right now, if you're not somebody who was already well-to-do to begin with.
Very true.
So, as cold as that sounds, that is the harsh reality that our world is in right now. And it usually just does you good to be backed by something stronger that gives a damn about what you're trying to do. Instead of having to sit there fussing with investors, stressing yourself out, stressing your team out, putting a situation where you have to crunch and all stuff like that. Dude, it's just like Tim Schafer said in his interview about being bought by Microsoft. He was like, he ain't got to worry about that crap no more. That man got only one thing to do: wake up in the morning, come in, discuss with his teams what he wants to see happen, and that's it. He good.
It's a lot easier when you have everybody lifting everything for you.
Yeah, so to me it's like, when CD Projekt Red was like, oh no, we're never going to do that. We're not going to do it. I'm quite sure the PlayStation fanboys were quite happy about that. But
they don't seem that happy. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I'm watching a decent amount of them. They all seem pissed as fuck.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Kima? Oh, what's that? The medium is now. Oh, shoot. Yeah, it is. That is right. We are. It is coming upon that time. So, but yeah, like I said, I'll go in my thoughts on that is just that I really feel that this is a very unfortunate, I guess you say like I'm trying not to say the word karma, but this is one of the things where it's like, it's like if you took the bag when it was offered, if you took that briefcase of money, you wouldn't have to be worrying about this stuff. You would have had Phil go up to the investor saying, "Look, this can go either two ways. You can sit yourself there quietly and wait for your money because you will get it, or you can just go ahead and pull your stakes and move out in the discussion, because we're not going to put these guys in crunch. And if you want to see the best ever Cyberpunk come forward, we're going to let them have all the time they need to get it done. And the announcements of delays, let that fall on Xbox Game Studios. Let that fall on Spencer. You already get enough trolls already out there, calling him a liar and everything else. And that dude seems so desensitized to that stuff right now. So that's the end of it. So, Mr. Nelson, you got any further thoughts you want to add to that? Because I know we spoke on this extensively a few nights.
Yes, Mr. Boss Man. Actually, you know what? From our last discussion, you brought up something that you said several times over, but you brought it up so many times that it made me restart. It made me really sit back and really take in consideration, the side of investors, because it is important to consider that. Obviously, like, you're right, we shouldn't necessarily make excuses necessarily, but we should take a moment to step back and realize that there's so many other angles that we can perceive how this unfortunately where Cyberpunk is right now.
That's the problem.
Something overall, I will say too is, and pardon my thought process if it comes off a little bit naive, but the way that, because I've been listening to what you've been saying, Fireboss, every time you keep bringing this up, I listen and I, really take it back. And, what makes me think that it might be, to an extent, that some of these investors, and the thing is, I don't know them on a personal note. But it seems as if the impression is given from, unfortunately, what happened with Cyberpunk is that some of these investors, and let me make this clear too, not just the investors, but also this goes to the dev team as well. Maybe to an extent they allowed their, how do I say this? They allow themselves to essentially just be snared in the moment and not really took in consideration what the future may hold. What I mean by that is this. If you go back and you look at the first trailer they ever had for Cyberpunk 2077, remember, y'all, it was CGI. And the thing is this. If you look back at that point in time, I think that ultimately, you got to remember, y'all, that Cyberpunk, the game is based off of a board game, a role-playing board game. So the concept of what the the concept of what the game comes from.
No, I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, so the concept was a tabletop role-playing game, like D&D.
Right. So the concept of the game already existed. And this is something I always tell people, is that when it comes to new IPs, if the marketplace is demanding, or let's say the people who are willing to be vocal about it, if we're demanding new IPs, and I'm not someone who discourages new IPs, but we're supposed to bring new IPs to the marketplace, then we have to give it a fair chance. And if that means, like you said, boss, if it has to have those several delays, and again, not just us the consumers of that said product, but also to the people who are investing in that said product with their own money, you have to be patient. Because at the end of the day, it makes me think that you're incompetent as an investor. I'm just being honest. It sounds like you're incompetent. Or let's say this, the people who are translating this information that, let's say, you're not prevalent to know on a personal note, are incompetent. It sounds like there needs to be some changes in your inner circle. Because, and by all means, like I said, I'm not a developer. You had that experience, sir. But in my mind, I'm thinking like this. Cyberpunk, and because you're right, if you look back to certain trailers they've shown over the years, or certain gameplay, you obviously see their stuff they ideally wanted. And I don't think it's too late. Granted, we have to look at a better state of the game, but these things can be implemented maybe somewhere down the road. Maybe not to where ideally they wanted it to be, but I don't think it's impossible. But the point being is this. Okay, now let's go back to the developers. Yes, like something again, what either it was tech or again, you had to call me on this, either tech, not tech, excuse me, not tech, but what was it? Tuck and Hebot. Yeah, I believe it was Hebot. Again, going back to something he said before that really stood out to me is developers, for better or for worse, they will take a concept, they want to make it into a video game, and they want to utilize the technology and push it as far as it can. But the thing is, when you do that, especially, again, you got to remind y'all that at that point in time, we had Xbox One. Hold on. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I want to say when they first showed Cyberpunk, again, the trailer, I want to say this is either in the beginning stages, maybe or either beginning or mid lifespan of the last gen consoles. And again, y'all correct me if I'm wrong on that. But the point being is
That
the
sounds
idea,
pretty accurate to me.
yes, but the concept of what the game you wanted to make it sounds like it's a game that should have started in the next gen.
Yeah.
Again, if you're putting it on the consoles. Now, if we're looking at it from the PC side, like you said before, Reaper, on the PC side, it's going to be fine for the most part. But when you want to move that from PC, you move on to console, that's where I can honestly say that's probably why we had so many delays. Because I'm pretty sure PC-wise, and again, I could be wrong on this, but I think on the PC side, they were doing a decent job. When you want to implement it on consoles, I think that's what was getting so much into trouble in terms of, okay, how do we make this work? Especially now that going over to the new generation or the current generation that we have now with PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, I can understand, again, like you said, boss, they should have done the delays. Or let's say this, they should have had the foresight to say, this is a game. And again, this is why I'm tying it all the way back to the developers and the investors. Someone should have had the foresight to say, I love the concept you're talking about. I want this game to be made, but maybe this is a game that has to wait. Maybe, or let's say this, you could put this game out, but this is going to have to be something that's going to be on PC. And maybe down the road, then we can release it or, make the ports necessarily, what I'm saying?
Eventually down the line, it's going to be upgradable or updatable on the fly. So that's kind of the idea of what they had. But then, if you introduce the title before the new gen comes out, and you're only stuck with old generation hardware, it's going to make your new concept harder to realize because you're not using new generation hardware yet. Keyword is the only thing yet to be used is PC, as you just said. But
they probably should have used the flight sim. Yeah, they probably should use the flight sim approach. In other words, start it on PC and then have the team work on doing the next gen versions. And sorry to cut you off, ODT, just any fallout that you would have from the so-called fans, which a lot of that fallout is not even real fans to begin with. At least not, I don't think so. I think it's just people just out there just hooping and hollering just to stir up bullshit. But just deal with the fallout, because there's already the fallout going around with another topic we're going to jump on, which is regarding Halo and stuff. Is that just make it clear that look, this is not going to run on baseline VCR Xbox. This is not going to run on base PS4. It's not going to work. we can't make it work. Yeah, you can. You can do anything, man. And dude, I'll put it to you
I
like
wish
this.
we could do everything. That would be awesome.
I'll put it to you like this. Development is the same as is just the same as art. All right. In their own way, shape, and form, it's about problem.
It's a work in progress.
It's problem solving. All right, that's the way I can say is you see a problem and you in your mind solve how do you make that work. Like how do you make a hand look like a hand to anybody looking at it as far as drawing goes. With development, it's the same way. How do you make a hand, like open or close or swing as you're punching something. So there's a lot of miraculous things you can do, but the thing is you can only pull off these miracles based off of what you have in front of you. Because if you don't have the power, then I guess you say if you don't have the your limits wide and broad enough, then you're not going to be able to do very much, and you're going to wind up causing more harm than good.
Mm-hmm.
And
you know what?
People understand
and
that.
To go off of what you just said, boss, too, is, and this is something again going back to the concept of just having that foresight. Because, take that off. Because here's my thing now, and again, it makes me question, let me not say integrity of CJ Project Red, but it makes me think to myself, how much confidence do you really have in the project? Because again, like I was just having this conversation with Tech, which is the host of the Technical Difficulties podcast. Just we'll plug that in real quick. But I was having this conversation with him earlier today about, just the concept of DLCs. And I asked, do you think that some games at this point in time, we have to expect them to be, or is it expected to purchase, say, a season pass or a battle pass to really gain the full experience of what the concept of the game is trying to present you as the player?
I'd argue we go for DLCs for a money grab and nothing else. And I'd also grab that they need the DLC's money grab in order to make advantage over the actual investors. So you need actual icing on the cake in order for the cake to be eaten, so to speak.
Yeah. So this is what I was thinking is one way they could have, let's just say maybe save face in my mind is accept the limitations that they were already placed upon them on the console side. And to me, what would make sense is, okay, all this time we're going to spend trying to work something, take it out, yada, yada, doing all this and the third. It's like, okay, again, put it on the market when it's at its decent. It's not going to be like same thing like when you look at Destiny. Destiny, what is it at? I'm talking about Destiny 1. And you can even say Destiny 2. But Destiny 1 was not at its best when it first came out. But you saw them try to develop it and get it more on a better place. And it did by the time of the Taken King. So the thing is, it's not impossible. So you could have implemented the same concept with Cyberpunk 2077. At the end of the day, yes, it might not have had the wall running. It would have had all these other things, but it would have been functional when it was released. And the thing is, you could implement these things through DLC. As long as the game is solid and people want more, there's no reason you cannot bring those things back into the fold like you wanted in the beginning. But if you don't have that foresight, you don't have no one around you to again, and again, you have plenty of examples already that exist. But again, I don't know the mindset of these developers. I don't know the mindset of these investors. I don't. But the impression that's given it to me is, again, there's a sense of incompetence there that unfortunately they're paying for right now. Now, but I don't, like you said before, boss, it's not too late for them to turn back. But I mean, if I put it like this, I won't say that by all means the studio is going to close anytime soon, but this is going to be a setback that's definitely going to weigh heavy on them for the time to come. Definitely. Not just them as developers, but also the investors as well. And I hope, like I said before in the last podcast, that for anyone who's looking at the situation right now, that they are taking the necessary lessons from this, learning the lessons needed from this experience and say, okay, like investors right now, for anyone who's listening, you want to be an investor in your life. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily in video games, but anything you want to invest in life, you want to make sure you're well aware of, or let's say you want to be book smart and street smart about it. Or let's even say this, you want to make sure you have an inner circle of people who you know for a fact are book smart and or street smart, so that if you cannot trust your own judgment in terms of what you're putting your resources towards, you can at least say, you know what, I got someone on the phone that I can call right now. I can break the situation down to them, and they can give me a straight answer. Either I'm going to like it or dislike it, but they're going to tell me the truth about it. And if that's not being developed and that's not being made, perhaps, unfortunately, we may see another. Like you said, boss, we don't want to have to keep beat a dead horse, but we might, unfortunately, somewhere down the road, have to have another CG Project Red, or even Godfall, depending on how you want to look at that, or just these games going in the future. We will want to avoid these things. So again, I mean, the cards will fall where they lie, and we'll just have to go from there. But that is my thoughts on that.
So
that's very sound logic right there.
Yeah. So I mean, the only real negative to really take from this is that if there is anything to applaud that they did try to take some risk on, really pushing the, I guess you say, the whole game design envelope. They tried to push it into the next realm. All right. But a bad decision is still a bad decision at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a gamble. It was a roll of the dice that they hit snake eyes. They crapped out. There's no way to kind of like finagle that. So I just hope that ultimately at the end of the day, this is not something that, I guess you could say, like, dissuades them from being risk takers again to push game design. And I just hope this does not also deter any other developers and studios, especially ones that are like AAA and already have like huge backings from, a multitude of investors and so on and so forth, from, trying to push their own design envelopes as well, because we got enough cookie cutter, shit out there as it is. Courtesy of our good buddies at EA and stuff like that. And of course a few others, Activision and so forth. But hey, if people enjoy what they got, so be it. I'm not going to knock them for that. We're going to go ahead and close this topic and move on to the next one. So that brings us into the whole situation where I was saying that the next topic that piggybacks off of this is that there's like a lot of people having a lot of beef about the potential that Halo Infinite may be looking to be next gen only. In other words, only be available for the Series X and S.
I honestly will admit that's probably going to be the worst case scenario, but what are you going to do? You don't want another Cyberpunk 2077 issue, do
we? Yeah, and here's the reason why I play devil's advocate with this, is that this game originally started its development on the Xbox One anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, now as far as as everybody knows, it's like gonna come out next fall, and we're gonna get xCloud updates in the spring. So it's kind of an interesting concept, but they want to try to make Halo Infinite playable on all devices as normal. But to do that, you need the software booth with it, which is going to be hard to do if you can't actually make it run on everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because dude, no matter how you try to shine it up and make it look pretty, Jaguar cores, they don't help anything. They really, and to me, it's like, I'm like this. It would be a waste. It would be a loss of a lot of funds and time and resources if they already do have this Xbox One version already, like, just sitting there and being co-developed and ready to go. Then, to me, it's like, by all means, go ahead and release it, because I don't think Halo was doing anything. Well, I don't think this Halo was going to be doing anything that was going to be, like, really pushing the envelope, like, say, like what the Medium does with the dual reality thing, or like how Ratchet and Clank is doing a thing of like going from one world to the next. It was being Halo, but it was being Halo where it was going to be more smoother with animations and frames. It was going to have ray tracing. The world was going to be more, I guess, more immersive because of velocity architecture and everything. So there'd be like less pop in, and you turn around, you shouldn't be seeing a bunch of screen tearing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other thing I could see was that could be taxing is if they implement DirectML machine learning, because a lot of people look at machine learning as a solution for I guess you could say for super scaling graphics, but it's also supposed to be applicable. See, now I'm getting like you, Nelson.
Well, machine learning technically is just the actual design of the actual AI.
Yeah, but and so it's supposed to also be used for NPC, and it could be used for NPC and enemy AI as well. So as far as a design aspect goes, if they wanted to like use that to make the brutes and the elites in the game more smarter and stuff like that,
I guarantee they probably will be smarter, especially on the legendary difficulty. That's probably what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but I don't believe they'll be able to do that on the Xbox One. And
on old hardware, absolutely not. I agree.
No, because
you need the xCloud AI machine to do that, which is
well, they will well, for the Xbox One, they will probably have to try to tie it into a cloud-based setup to do it, because
if you're going to run it on the old hardware, it has to be run by the cloud entirely. It doesn't have the actual advantage of the AI, super scale.
Because the S and the X, they have hardware built in for that.
Yep.
So into the chip itself. But give us some more your thoughts about this, Reap.
I mean, well, I've been kind of up and on different people's opinions. Everybody thinks that Halo should go third person. I guarantee you, please don't do that. Everybody's kind of often over the Fortnite, inclusion of the actual Master Chief skin, which I thought was a very brilliant idea. But at the same time, everybody's gotta everyone wants the game on everything. They don't want to have to invest in a new experience. But if you actually make the game only playable on next gen only hardware, you're gonna have to if you want to actually enjoy the game in general. So, but I think that if we can get xCloud to work and we can get everything to run everything on a simultaneous, super AI upscale, everything will be just fine, because everything will just be run by cloud and the internet, as it should be, without being hacked, of course.
Yeah. So, your thoughts on this, Mr. Nelson? As far as goes for
I have to say that
now go ahead, man.
I would say I definitely. All right. What I was trying to say was, I definitely agree with what Reaper just said. That obviously there are different ways they can go about this and try to, let's say, put forth the best experience they can for Halo for other people who, let's say, may not have access. Or say they have access to Game Pass.
Yeah,
or at least
Game Pass is going to be the easiest way to enjoy this franchise in general, because it gives it right to you for $5.
Mm-hmm. But then, if you want to play, let's say this product, well, let's just say the product. If you want to play this product on the best means that it can be played, then you're going to have to go out your way to invest in something that complements it to its absolute to its absolute
Yeah.
finest. And if you don't do that, then you cannot be surprised with the quality that you get out of it. Then you
Yeah,
can't be
but people are
surprised.
surprised anyway and complain anyway.
Yeah. And you know what,
that's a
too?
guarantee.
I mean, put like this as well. At the end of the day, let's say this, right? Would you rather want the game, right? Would you rather want it on just one specific platform, or would you? No. Let me phrase that. To be more specific. What I'm trying to say. Do you want this product at its absolute best, but it's only limited to one platform, or would you want it to be accessible as many platforms in terms of at least technology wise as much as possible, but across the border though, if that comes to pass, the quality in which it's going to be at is
It's
not
gonna
going to be the
fluctuate.
same,
It's gonna
right? It's going to
fluctuate.
fluctuate. It's not going to be
Fluctuate depending on what device you use. But
right.
in terms of the answer to that question, I would want it on as many devices that can run it as possible, so as many consumers can enjoy it and actually invest, and therefore you get as much money for your investment project as you can. But you know, for a stable launch, I would make, if you have the system and you know what devices it does and does not work on, do not launch it on the systems that it does not work on. Common sense.
Right. And you just said it, Reaper. You said it perfectly. You really did. No bullshit. And I'll finish my thoughts on this. Is going forward with any other game, like say for instance, I was just thinking. Now I'm thinking about it. Now is, let's say what happens with Fable. Is Fable going to go through the same thing?
That's going to be even a more interesting concept of what they do with Fable, because Fable is a little bit more dearer to Dr. Phil's heart than the Halo franchise is.
Oh, they already made that clear. They already made that clear. That Joker's not cross-gen, so we good there.
Yeah, that would be kind of the
okay. But not just like not just specifically saying Fable, but just saying anything else that can be considered to be a exclusive on the Xbox platform, or let's not even say the platform necessarily. Let's just say its services. Let's say that. Again, if we're going to keep running into this issue, it's like, okay, what are we doing to even, or let's not even say that. Let's say, do we really call it an issue, or is this really just being, people who just want to be nitpicking motherfuckers? Because if that's the case, then it's like, I mean, it is what it is. If you want to be a nitpick motherfucker, I mean, that's your life, you live it. But let's not, what's the word? Let's not, what's the word? Let's not exaggerate.
Yeah, or blow the situation out of proportion.
Right, blow it out of proportion. Because when you do that, that makes unnecessary. That just gives us unnecessary hot air. That again, going back to something you said before, boss, is right now, even though we're getting ready to, thankfully now we're getting ready to get out of 2020. Most likely, the industry is not going to recover from what happened in the beginning of this year until maybe 25. Maybe. I'm not quite sure. It could be longer, it could be shorter. But again, this goes back to something I said before in the previous podcast is, y'all, at this point in time, I think at any other time in gaming, I think we should be able to afford the price of just giving grace in a reasonable capacity to not just developers, but also to the investors. I know I was on the investors earlier, but in all seriousness, again, everyone, of course, right, especially right now, you cannot afford to make mistakes. You have to be very critical about how you move. And so the thing is, if Microsoft right now feels, or let's not even say feel, let's say they know they have to do these things for, let's say, Halo right now, then the thing is, at the end of the day, let's say here in America, you have free speech. You have here in America, right? Again, go on Twitter, go on all social medias, and you can complain all day long if you want to. But guess what, bitch? You're still gonna play that goddamn game, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
If you want it.
Hold on. Let me take my glasses down real quick. All right then. So you can do all that bitching and moaning, but when the time comes that you want to support that game, you're gonna buy it. You're gonna get all DLCs. You're gonna get all the skins. You'll get all the achievements. Just just know it came out of that because motherfuckers made the decision to say we're going to have to do this and the third before it comes out, because we're not going to put out you know what, okay? You already know what I'm talking about, but like I said, we don't want to be a dead horse anymore like that. But I'll end my thoughts on that.
Yeah. So, but as far as my thoughts go, is that if I mean, because it's like what Emmanuel's saying, right there, in the chat, is that because that's what I've been hearing too, is that supposedly it's already it's practically almost done itself. So if they have a way of making it working and they're getting it working, then and stuff like that, then by all means let them go ahead and drop it. Well, not drop it, but let them go ahead and launch it, and we'll just have to see where the chips lie from there, because dude, it's Halo. It's going to sell regardless, but it's just a question of how much I guess you say Q&A time they take for Q&A to make sure that it's working as good as it can can work for the Xbox One. Because this is like because to me it's like everybody was always on and on about the design aspect, that this is going to hold back gaming, this is going to hold back the design. But to me it's like, if it's just same old Halo, but now that you're able to use a grappling hook, good Lord, we already had my boy Rico doing this type of stuff in Just Cause for like over a decade. So now you're giving massive more bigger explosions and a grappling hook to Chief. That's nothing different. They can do that. So but when we talk about,
I see no issue with those add-ons personally. I think that makes the game a little bit more entertaining.
Yeah, but like I said, so to me, the argument just fell flat on its face about this is holding back game design, because no, apparently they already had it in their mind that this was all they were doing for Chief. Now, if this was something where they were making it where he could pull a portal, pull off what they're doing with Ratchet and Clank or something like that, where he's opening up where he's opening up a portal and you can see the other, because supposedly, I don't know if they changed it, but the last things I remember reading over about 3 months back was you're not just on the ring, you're supposed to be able to go to other planets too. I don't know how spread out those levels would be, but I'm just thinking to myself,
maybe that's what we wanted the split force engine or split space engine for, because they want to add the kind of like a Destiny travel in between planet concept inside the gameplay world, if I understood the way the devs made it sound.
So yeah, something like that right there. Yeah, definitely it's not going to work on it's not going to work on the Xbox One. But in the way,
you need unlimited cash in order to make the actual system stream work.
Yeah, but the reason why Phil kept addressing it, whereas this is not going to be a problem because it's scalable, he was thinking on the terms of graphics. Whereas look, we're taking out a few brutes, we're taking out a few trees.
But graphics wasn't what we were explaining to Phil is the problem. It's your CPU power, not your GPU power.
Yeah, so to me it's like, if it's already this far along already, dude, there's nothing there. There's nothing else they can do to add to or change up the design that's going to make it where this is only going to work on Series X and S. Because to do monumental shifts like that in a game design, dude, that's going to tack on more time than just a year.
Yeah. So
and it's not worth it. It really isn't. So to me, it's like, if it's ready to go, then just let them go ahead and do it and ship it. So those are my thoughts right there. And yeah, and just as Emmanuel was saying, it's going to be 720. As long as it's 720p with 30 frames per second on Xbox One, it should be fine, because like I said, it's all about scalability.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mhm.
but yeah. So I mean, but any more thoughts y'all want to add to that?
I'm just gonna get kind of interested when we include the xCloud community that all has to do with mobile, shots, and has to do with mobile scaling. Because when you get mobile scaling, console scaling, and PC scaling all in one, lobby, that's gonna be kind of interesting.
All right. Okay. Well, moving on to the next one. We're gonna keep it going. So so apparently, I guess now Cyberpunk is an Xbox exclusive indirectly.
But why indirectly is it an exclusive? Is it because your PSN power is not enough? Is it because it does not have unlimited cloud? What's the reason, Sony? Please do tell. I'll wait. But yeah, no, like that was gonna basically hit Sony in the backdrop, basically. Oh, we want that game too. That's cool. Can you actually run it? We'll see. Oh, here's the refunds. Nope, you can't. That's how that works.
Yeah. So for anybody who's watching or watches later, what we're joking about is that apparently Sony has pulled Cyberpunk. Yeah. So once again, we're back on Cyberpunk, but just for a little bit, just for a tiny bit. Bear with us. Has pulled Cyberpunk completely off their store. So the only way you're going to be able to get this game is if you already have the hard copy, physical copy that you bought from the stores. You heard about this, Nelson?
Yes, I heard about this earlier today.
Yeah. So that's, that's pretty extreme. I mean, it's. I guess the thing is they did this to try to, I guess, cut all ties and, I guess, keep
Well,
their
they
net
did it to
clean.
try to prove Phil wrong, and they lost. So I can't really say anything other than that because so it's like, no, we want to play it. We want the game on our system. It can run it. It can run it. The PSN cloud works awesome, and it breaks every single system that plays it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I can't really say too much about it, more myself because I still don't have the have the game. So I can only go off of the videos that I've seen, and we're like I said, we're not gonna beat into that anymore because point blank, the game should have been delayed a lot more longer than a month. That's all I got to say on it. It should have been delayed at least, if anything, to late spring or some crap. So, but yeah. So other than that, I mean, well, I guess all three of us don't have the Series X, so can't really get too deep. I guess get too deep into this unless you went ahead and grabbed it for your base Xbox, and that is Hive Busters. Either one of y'all got to try it out?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. Well, this game, this game seems to have a whole lot of people talking, including a lot of PlayStation trolls. Whereas, like, it's like, man, I really can't believe a game looking this good came for the Xbox, which which to me is a V8 head slap moment because it's like, dude, there's always been good looking games on the platform, but y'all, you always keep having your head so far up, shoved so far up Naughty Dog and Santa Monica's asses that you kind of choose to just close your eyes and act blind, that you don't see what the likes of the Coalition and Playground Games is capable of.
Well, what any dev is actually capable of if they actually have enough, investors behind them. That is, because all it takes for games to actually look really, really pretty is investors and cash, and that's why it comes from a double indie AAA concepts.
Yeah. So
those A's represent how much money is built behind the game franchise.
Yeah.
And the money comes from the investors.
Yeah. So either way, A lot of people, like I said, the game is being celebrated. A lot of people are enjoying it, and a lot of people are saying that, man, this is making me get pretty excited for Gear 6. So I mean, and dude, this is with Unreal Engine. This is with Unreal Engine 4. They haven't even
Well,
started with Unreal Engine.
congratulations to the Gears team because they seem to be doing a really good job with the new one. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, so like I said, I can only imagine what they would do if they had the Unreal, I guess Unreal 5. But dude, if the game was looking that good already, just with Unreal 4, I'm kind of like, man, the heck with 5. Y'all could just start on the game now. Well, technically, I think they already have started development on the game. But the thing that I wanted to ask you guys, and even those of you in the chat, is real quick, if once they wrap up Gear 6, because take this with a grain of salt, big, huge, horse-sized grain of salt. There was rumor that Gear 6 was going to wrap the series up. The only thing
that is still true if I remember history correctly, because it was supposed to be 4, 5, 6. What they're going to do after 6 is up in the air still.
Yeah,
that's gonna be kind of interesting to find out.
Yeah, personally, I could see them doing a maybe like a spin-off or something like that. But beyond that, dude, it's kind of like, where else can you take the story? So whereas everybody was always hooping and hollering about, oh, let Coalition do what they want to do, Xbox, let them do. Well, you're probably going to get your wish. So now the question to all of you is, what would you like to see them do? Me personally, I would like to see them. I said this before. I think no. It wasn't with you guys, but I did discuss with another group one time. Whereas, I would like to see them tackle something that's open world action with light RPG elements. And the one idea that I had was, since everybody is always going on about an answer to Spider-Man, so, well, why not bring back Spawn? Because Xbox throughout history has had a very long, tight relationship with Todd McFarlane and with the IP. So, and plus, Todd is trying to reinvent the IP and bring it back, because I don't know where it sits now, but he was looking to redo the movie. So, what better way to reintroduce Spawn? He might not be, he ain't big as Spider-Man, but he is known. He is very notable.
Spawn has always been that taboo of a video game character, though. At least in my history experience of dealing with the character. It's always one of those. It's always one of those comics that no one really wants to touch.
I don't know. It depends.
Yeah,
exactly. maybe in that area. But Spawn was, when it was hot, was always a hot item. It's just that it's died down now. And
it's not really that. It was more of the maturity level is what I was referring to. It wasn't the actual character concept in general.
Yeah, so
I would look. It's like one of those new triple, for a maturity level types of actual franchises that nobody really wants to invest in because they don't know how people will actually take it or not take it.
Yeah, so either way, I would like to see them tackle an open world Spawn game. And by open world, I mean like where the comics take place, which is in New York City. So I mean, with the think about it, with the power of velocity and machine learning and all the stuff like that to like make denser crowds and add in the ray tracing. Imagine Spawn using his chains, swinging around the skyscrapers and stuff like that. And running and climbing up the side of buildings. And hell, while we're at it, since everybody seems to make it such a hot thing about jump through portals, just anywhere you're in the city, he's able to open up a portal and go into hell and come back out in another part of the city.
That would be rather dope. I agree with you.
Okay. And the thing is, we're talking about Spawn. If anybody's familiar with the backstory, Al Simmons, who is Spawn, is an elite government agent, and before that he was also a military. Even though he has these vast magical powers,
he's more prone to basically put a bullet through your head. You know, and
Mhm.
and the thing is, he is an expert marksman, and as well as close quarter combat fighter. So that's why I'm saying that I could see Coalition eating something like this up alive, and just completely just redefining what a superhero game could be.
Mhm.
Even, I mean, I'll even say I'll piss people off. I'll even saying like, going above like what we've seen with Batman from Rocksteady.
Hmm. Okay.
But those are my thoughts. What kind of game would you like to see from them, Nelson?
You know what? To be honest with you, and in fact, this is something I meant to tell you too when we were giving our predictions of what was going to be shown during the Game Awards. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, you know what? I think this is honestly probably the best time a Spawn game can come out in this generation. Because think about this: you already saw just how much of a huge reception people had when we saw Spawn on a Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
And think about it like this too. Imagine all, because you gotta think about it like this: of all characters that could have been on Mortal Kombat, it makes the most sense to have Spawn there. And in fact, you can even arguably say Spawn would fit. Arguably, say he fits so perfectly within the lore of that
in
game, that
or Mortal
franchise.
Kombat in general, it fits perfectly. Yeah.
Right. So think about it like this: with the way that Mortal Kombat is right now, with having the ability where you customize the look and it has different abilities that come with it. Think about it like this: I'm pretty sure they're testing. I'm pretty sure, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure when coming up with the idea of having Spawn with uh being implemented within the Mortal Kombat roster, I'm pretty sure the idea probably came about trying to see, okay, how, in terms of, let's just say, gameplay, and also again how he would be received if he came back with his own game, because I would love the concepts they've had from Mortal Kombat, and they can bring those kinds of concept of just his move sets, or even the concept of, because something else too, boss, you might have forgotten about this, but because this is the only thing that I feel like might have to be worked around a little bit, but I don't think it's impossible, is trying to make sure that you still stay true to the character. And the thing is this: Spawn can't use, the reason why he only on certain occasions he'll use his powers is because there's a certain limited resource of necroplasm. If I'm not mistaken, that's what it's called. Because if he uses it up, he has to go back to hell. So certain concepts in terms of, let's say, trying to implement, let's say, the sense of how you can travel through different planes of existence, it's like, okay, as long as that can be respectful in terms of the lore, or let's even say this: if you want to go the route of, let's say, the PS4 Spider-Man, right? Well, you still have Spider-Man. That's nothing new. But let's say you approach Spider-Man in a way a lot of people haven't approached him before, but it makes sense to how he's been built. Like, I always give it to this: as far as I'm concerned, Spider-Man PS4 was by no means, in my eyes, the best Spider-Man of all time by any means, in my opinion. But something I did love about what they did with Insomniac is they took the concept of the fact that Peter is a smart kid, or not a smart kid, but he's a smart man, and he understands that he knows how to build tech. He knows, like, he's not necessarily Reed Richards or he's not Tony Stark, but if you give him the material, he can make something that is appropriate for a situation. And it's like you don't see that often in a lot of Spider-Man games prior. So for them to take heed of that and actually use that as a compliment to his combat style, it makes so much sense. And I think that's what propelled it above a lot in people's eyes in terms of what a superhero game, quote unquote, could be. So to me, when you look at Spawn, you could do the same thing. You could take certain aspects of his character that fit so well in his lore, but make it to where there's still progression, but it's not too outlandish to the point where it's like, that's not a Spawn. That makes no absolute sense. Because again, think about the core audience you're trying to convey. you're not just confading to, let's say, people from Arkham, like if they play Batman, because I can see them taking inspiration from Batman. Because think about it, flying through the air with Spawn's, cape, and just think about just the way you can move around the city, or you can move around different locations with that cape, just the fluidity, just the way it would look, just the way you can even morph vehicles around you. That is a possibility, and I would love to see something like that. Even let's say customizable loadouts, customized or mutations or whatever you might call it, with the chains or just expansion on his abilities. Let's even say this. Let's say they could work around it, and I'm just throwing some ideas out there. Something else they could do is, let's say they give Spawn the ability where he can, what's the word? He can essentially pull a venom and extract, let's say, the necessary material he needs from enemies to keep his abilities up and running. So he doesn't, like, because again, you can still have that counter, because there's a counter for him that goes down when he uses his powers. There's ways you can refill it to where if it, like if you go into difficulty if you scale up the difficulty, it becomes more apparent of trying to find that balance, which again goes back to the lore. But let's say if you're playing on a lower scale, it doesn't become a headache. You get what I'm saying? So I honestly think that in terms of, and pull this all the way back towards what would they do after Gears, I think it is possible. It's just, again, going back to Cyberpunk, I think that they just have to make sure they have the proper clarity, both the devs and the investors, in terms of how they want to scale the game and what they could do afterwards. If they do that, I think that if we get a Spawn game anytime soon, I think it's going to be good. In fact, it might be fantastic, but we'll have to wait and see about that. But I'm pretty much on board with you, boss. I would definitely want to see if they could tackle a Spawn game, and I think they would do well in it. But I finished my thoughts on that.
All right. Well, how about you, ODT? What kind of game would you probably expect from them?
Something that they actually want to create would probably be a nice change. I don't know. Something that kind of isn't a third person would be nice. No, I mean, I would like horror, and I agree with Emmanuel. Mature games don't hurt. They actually make the community a little bit smarter than just dumbed down teen and rated E's everything. But considering how long the Coalition has been doing the new section of Gears, it's been a long time. They've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah,
but one would be nice. I would actually like to see a new kind of horror type of Western game, kind of like the one that is about to come out, but something Coalition style would be nice.
Oh yeah, that's actually good, because that was one of the picks that came up in the Reddit, where I made the same question I brought to you guys, of like what kind of game could you see the Coalition doing beyond Gears. Was a good bit of people actually voted for them trying their hand at horror.
Yeah, horror or something exciting and bloody. Bloody is definitely their thing. They definitely have a knack for those types of games.
Yeah, the
chainsaw through somebody else's body is kind of totally telling to me.
Yeah, and plus, in a lot of cases, how they design some of those creatures, some of the locusts and everything. They can.
I don't know if you guys ever played that game Gun back in the day. It was on the original PS2 and the original 360, I believe.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, I would like someone to redo that. That was actually a really good game.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was an actual third/first person, so I can tolerate both. But the thing is like back then it was kind of open world. It was a Western. It was beautiful. And it was done on a PS2. It was kind of insane to basically go backwards. But then if you go forwards, we got the Red Dead Redemption series. So it was kind of a step up from Gun. But, Gun was also just a single player story. It didn't have any multiplayer on it.
Yeah. Looking at the results of the poll on my Reddit regarding this, the leading choice for everybody out of another third-person shooter, first-person shooter, third-person action, In other words, not necessarily shooting, horror, and other. The leading one is RPG. So it seems like a lot of people would definitely be interested in seeing them tackle a role-playing game. So, and given their set piece, if you really look at it in a certain view, their set pieces, for their levels and everything. I could see it working. I could see them doing work for something that's fantasy medieval-ish. That's if they wanted to go there, but I'm with Reaper. It's I think once they clear up Gears, that they need to just be just left to their vices to decide what is what's next.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I got you. Actually, you know what? Since you brought up, I do want to say this too, though, because you got my gears turning on this. Is something about Gears 1 and 2. I'll say more so specifically 1 and 2 that I honestly think put the Gears franchise on the map is just how they were able to complement action with horror elements. Because I don't know about y'all. I don't know about y'all, but when I played Gears of War 2 first before I went and played Gears of War 1. Gears of War 2, honestly, and bear in mind, keep that bear in mind. I almost forgot to say that. Okay, I got y'all this time.
All right, good.
But
good.
Something that, yes, sir. But something that to this day astonished me about Gears of War 2, and I was young. How old was I? I was probably maybe about 14. Maybe, hold on. I was a little younger than that. I was like maybe 12. I was around either 12 or 13 years old when I played Gears of War 2. And when I tell y'all, there are so many segments within that game that scared the shit out of me. That I promise y'all, there were no times I ever played with the lights off, ever. I kept the lights on. You know how sometimes you'll play a scary game, or let's say you'll be playing a certain section that gives you so much anxiety, you can't help but just be like, you know what, I'm gonna have to play some music and just play it up the wall, just so it can help you with that anxiety. Like the first time I promise y'all, if you've never played the original Gears 1, 2, even 3, I promise y'all, you play that game for the first time, and the first time you meet a berserker, and a berserker is chasing you, I'm telling, there's no way you can't feel that anxiety building up. There's no way you can't. And again, maybe it's because I was younger, but the point being is that's something to me that made Gears so unique, because it had a sense of horror that made the game feel as if it wasn't just all action, it was atmospheric. It made you feel the dread of the world. It made you feel as if it's like this. It's like if the team, if I forget what they were called, but it's like if Marcus and them died, you almost felt as if that was it. The whole world was going to die. Like no one else was going to save the world if it wasn't them.
So that ad theme song, Mad World, actually kind of actually applied to it even more.
Right. And so my thing is this: I think that if they ventured off into other things besides Gears, right? I think that if they have the right people and they have the right vision, I think they can do the same thing. I'm not gonna say rinse and repeat what Gears of War 1 and 2 did, but if they can bring back that same kind of scale in terms of the atmospheric, I think they could do it well. You can even say, I'll give you another game, for example, and I wish they would do this more to an extent. Is like, say, if you play what's the game called again? Killing Floor. I've only played Killing Floor 2, but I'm not gonna lie, there are times where when I started playing that game, it wasn't necessarily the environment, but it was the enemies coupled with the environment that felt very, what's the word I want to say? Again, it had that sense of terror. It had that sense of horror to it where, yes, you're doing all this, shooting and blasting, all ridiculous weapons and what have you, but you still felt a sense of danger. You still had a sense of, like, if the enemy was right in front of you, you're going to jump back a little bit. because again, even despite how long you've played it, there's still a sense of tension that's still there. And so if they can implement that into whatever they going forward, like even say like this, going back to like the concept of a Spawn game, you can still do a Spawn game and you can still have those certain pieces where it's not all action. Like say, take it for example, when it comes to the Arkham games, it wasn't always action. It was actually utilizing, detective work, and painting a scene that makes sense for Batman. If you look at a Spawn game, you can have the horror element, and you can still make it where it makes sense to have it in the world where it doesn't feel too weird or off-putting. So I think it's reasonable that they could do it if they wanted to. But going to Reaper 2 is ultimately, no, I would like to see whatever they want to do and just see where it goes. Ultimately. But that's all I just want to say on that point.
All right. Well, we're already coming over an hour and a half. There's a few little small things, but they're not really like I want to say like major things to really like get into. Anything you probably want to any of y'all want to like throw out there?
No, I think you pretty much covered everything.
Okay, yeah, because like I said, we already beat on a lot of this Wednesday. So, and everybody else has pretty much done beat a lot of this down to the floor as well, like an MMA fighter. So we're probably going to go ahead and hit the outros and hit the road, because right now just go ahead and put this back out, because just like when I opened up and I said at the end of the podcast Wednesday, next week there will not be a roundtable. And there will not be a weekly wrap, because that's I want to like try to take some time to like relax, be with my family, and also like focus on a few other things that I have like sitting on the table in front of me, literally, and try to get these things done. Nelson, if any chance you and Tech and Miss Diamond might be doing anything next week?
That is a good question. We haven't really had that conversation. But I'll probably say this. If we do something for next week, we'll probably do it before or after Christmas, though. And probably so.
All right.
Because I think Christmas, or maybe I might have to throw it even Christmas Eve too in there, maybe. But if we do something, it probably maybe either earlier in the week or later in the week. I'll say that. But if something I have said to the Tech, Mr. Techstorm is, if we need to step back from the podcast just maybe for a week, I don't think that's going to hurt us as far as I'm concerned in the long run. That's not going to hurt us, especially in this time, and especially with Christmas coming up. I think people could give us the excuse of, well, they got to spend time with family, blah 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 blah. They can give us that grace, But besides that, if we do something, it probably might be a little something on the side, but that probably be it. Excuse me. Outside of just our regularly scheduled podcast, which is usually on Thursdays at 1:00, just let y'all know that. But for this coming week, we might not really do much like that. But just put that out there.
All right. Well, okay. Well, in that case, then we'll go on to the outros. All right, Mr. Reaper, can you tell everybody what all the nice people in the audience where they can find you?
You guys can all find me on Instagram, just floating, and on Twitter at ThomasBarker61. And I, right now, am kind of just in a hiatus of relaxation. And I am going to take what our wonderful missing birthday boy is doing actually right now and just stay on a high fire lit, section for the remainder of Christmas and the holiday season. But as I said when I first walked in here, I'm my deepest thanks to this panel, especially for helping me get my my former self back on actual track and actual doing all the stuff inside my head and inside my actual body frame. but I am actually enjoying myself, even though my fridge is empty at the moment. But I'm going to have an interesting night because that wonderful guest that just walked right back into my house kind of went out that way and is coming back in like probably another 30 minutes from now. But you guys can always just find me on a direct message. And if I don't answer, I'm normally sleeping. So that's where I'm normally. I'm either in bed or I'm legitimately just vibing everywhere.
All right. And I think that what Emmanuel is asking, I think that's meant more for you, Nelson.
Oh yeah, it's thank you for reminding me that it is well, I guess I can go ahead and just get my outro out right now if that's okay with you, boss.
Oh yeah, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you lurking at.
Yes, sir. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. KTBIM1. And you can also find me on the TD podcast, as well as, other little bit of things we'll put out on YouTube at the channel is called TechStorm. All right. We're all there for the moment. Coming in the next year, we'll probably try to move on to other platforms, see what happens. And we do on Thursdays, again, we do usually do the TD podcast, the Technical Difficulties podcast at 1 specific standard time, sir. Yes, sir. And if it's Eastern time, I will say that is usually at that point in time, it should be around 4. Or if you're in Central time, it's going to be at 3. Just to give you all the heads up.
All right. All right. And as for me, everybody, you know where you can find me. And hopefully for those of you who are trying to stir up trouble, console war trouble and stuff like that, hopefully we don't have to find you looking over the cliff of Who Mountain in the Who Valley, hating on Xbox gamers who are enjoying their gaming. So just all I got to say is just enjoy, just everybody enjoy your weekend and enjoy your gaming. Okay. And if you don't agree with what somebody else likes, then what does it hurt you? That's all I got to say.
Definitely enjoy your holidays, folks, because it's definitely going to be needed.
Yeah, I mean, good. Come on, goodwill to all men. All right. So on that note, thanks for joining us. Enjoy your weekend, and again, enjoy your gaming. Good night, folks.
Peace.